Welcome to the channel. Today we will be breaking down Corey Sandhagen versus Umar and going down the entire card. Now since we're different over here, we got our Yuri gloves on, got our samurai sword here, we got our research we've done for the card. But since we're different, we're going to start at the top and work our way down. We're not like everybody else. That being said, we'll start with the main event. Corey Sandhagen versus Umar. Now, Umar is a huge favorite. If Umar's last name wasn't what it was and his cousin wasn't who he is, everyone would be saying, why is this fight happening? And they would be picking Corey Sandhagen. But since he's a Nurmagomedov, everyone wants to push him to the moon. He's never beat a ranked opponent. He looked human last fight when he got dropped. And Corey Sandhagen, ever since he lost to Aljo, has improved. And especially after losing to Petragon and TJ Dillashaw, Sandhagen's never looked better. I mean, he made Cheeto look like an amateur. He made Rob Font look like an amateur. And if we're being honest, Sandhagen could sit out and no one would bat an eye if it was announced he's fighting the winner of Marab and Sugar Sean O'Malley. Now, if you're looking at this objectively, and looking at what Corey Sandhagen's done and what Umar's done, it's so obvious Corey Sandhagen's the answer. Now, it's MMA, anything can happen, but knowing what we know, and history is a great indicator of the future, knowing what we know, you got to go with Corey Sandhagen. And that's what we're going to do. To me, and if you're going to put money on any underdog, you got to go with Sandhagen. It's disrespectful, these odds, but yeah, Corey Sandhagen, probably by decision all day long. Moving down to the co-main event. Nurmagomedov versus Michelle, we won't even try to say that name. A lot of people are surprised that Shara is such a big favorite, and they think there's a hole in his grappling game, which there is. However, Michelle has only had 4 takedowns in 14 UFC fights. 4 takedowns in 14 UFC fights. Also, he's coming off a complete dismantling by Michelle Pereira, and he's coming off the Kevin Holland submission loss as well. So he's been finished 2 times this year in very quick fashion. So there's a reason why they picked him to go over to Abu Dhabi and fight Shara. And that's because he's going to be a layup for Shara. Not much of a takedown threat, and Shara's the better striker. So we're going to go Shara probably by knockout. Moving down. Figueiredo versus Cheeto. I am actually a huge Cheeto fan. I know it's weird because I'm a huge O'Malley fan, but I love both those dudes. However, I think Cheeto is in the decline. He's 1-2 his last 3, and he didn't even really look good versus Pedro either in his 1 win. And he got completely embarrassed by O'Malley and completely embarrassed by Sandhagen. And really, I think this just comes down to Figueiredo is going to be too fast for him, and Figueiredo is more well-rounded. And the fact it's a 3-rounder, I think that benefits Figueiredo more than it would Cheeto. And so, unless Cheeto can land something crazy and get a knockout, I think Figueiredo is just going to win the fight by having a higher volume, mixing in takedowns, being too quick, getting in and getting out. And I think Figueiredo is going to win fairly easily. But low key, I'll be cheering for Cheeto to catch him with something. But I don't know what his problem is, but he just doesn't throw the output, and he's just always looking for that one shot, and that benefits him in 5-round fights more than it would a 3-round fight. But Figueiredo, I think he'll win a decision if I had to guess, because Cheeto is very durable and hard to finish. So Figueiredo by decision, that seems extremely safe to me. Moving down, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. The fight we all want to see. No, I'm just kidding. Trash matchmaking. I don't have any. I used to be one of the biggest Tony Ferguson fans alive, and his downfall might be the hardest downfall I've had to watch in the UFC. He's lost 7 in a row. He's not the same Tony anymore. If I had to guess, I think this fight's going to look a whole lot like Michael Chiesa versus Diego Sanchez, where Chiesa's just going to take him down and put a grappling clinic on him for 15 minutes. I've lost hope for Tony. He's about to be 0-8. Hopefully he retires. Someone needs to make him retire. He'd be great as a personality in the sport, but he doesn't need to fight anymore. He does not have it. But at least he's fighting Chiesa, who won't really cause much damage on his brain. He'll beat him in a boring decision, or maybe submit him, but probably not, because Tony's hard to tap out. Moving down, Mackenzie Dern versus Lupi Godinez. Now, I used to be a big Dern believer, but I'm not anymore. She's a good grappler, terrible striker. Lupi has actually really impressed me. I know it's surprising coming from me because I always bash women's MMA, but she's actually one female fighter that is actually pretty impressive. So I think Lupi's going to put some hands on her, put a pace on her, and probably win a decision or knock her out. Moving on. Joel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. Now, Elvis Brenner had an incredible debut. He went to war with Garam and was a huge underdog on short notice and had one of the best comebacks I've seen. I mean, he was getting butchered and his entire blonde hair was red from blood, and then he came back and knocked out Garam in the 3rd round. And so that fight really won me over. It's like, okay, I got to keep my eye on this guy. And going into this week, I probably would have picked Elvis Brenner, but in doing my research, Alvarez is 6'3" with a 77-inch reach, and Brenner is 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. To me, they're similar skills, but when one's that much bigger and the skills are similar, I'm going to go with the bigger guy. So we're going to go Joel Alvarez, but I wouldn't bet that fight because Elvis Brenner is an absolute savage and a dog, and he is dangerous for 15 minutes. So wouldn't be shocked if he won, but I'm going to go with the bigger man here and go Joel Alvarez. Moving down, Azmat Mirzakhanov versus Alonzo Menifield. Now, Azmat is actually undefeated, and he has really good power in his hands. He is a short guy for the division, but Menifield is also pretty short as well. They're both short, stocky builds. However, one has a really good fight IQ and is undefeated. The other is a great athlete with horrible fight IQ. I mean, Alonzo Menifield, he fought Carlos Ulberg last fight, one of the best counter strikers in the division with insane power and speed. And he tried to bull rush him and knock him out immediately and got KO'd in like 10 seconds. I mean, the dude is just no fight IQ whatsoever. And one guy, Menifield's always found ways to lose in his career. The other guy's always won. So, yeah, we're going to go with the undefeated Azmat Mirzakhanov on that one. Muhammad Yagal versus Kai Fernandez. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about these two guys. In my research, they seemed, I mean, I'd never even heard of these guys. I'll be honest, I don't know who they are. However, one's a negative 350 favorite, so I'm going to go with the masses here, and I'm going to pick the negative 350 favorite, Kai Fernandez. To our next fight, Shamil Gaziev versus Dontel Mays. Now, Shamil Gaziev was a candidate for Fraud of the Year after his performance versus Rosenstrike earlier this year. However, he's not built for 5 rounds, but he is built for 3. And I have a feeling Gaziev will win 2 rounds, and then he'll survive the 3rd round and win a decision. Either that or he'll get a finish within the first 2 rounds. Mays is trash. He's tall and long, and that's about all I can say about him. To me, Gaziev's going to put the pressure on him. He'll be winning the rounds, and I think Gaziev will win this pretty easily. Garam Kudaledze versus Jordan Vucinic. Now, this is a tough debut. I talked about Garam earlier and his Elvis Brenner fight, but Garam's a dog and he's a savage, and I expect him to get the job done this time. You might want to watch his weight cut though. He's always struggled with his weight cut, so if he comes in overweight, you might not want to put money on him because that probably means bad things happened, and he's probably not going to have the cardio that he needs. But I'm going to go Garam. I'm a believer in him, even though he did lose to Brenner last year. Victoria Dudakova versus Sam Hughes. Don't know about these girls, don't care about these girls. Literally, we're going to pick Victoria Dudakova because she has a crazy sounding name and they're in that part of the world, so they're probably going to give her opponent where she'll win. But yeah, don't trust my word on that. I could care less about this fight, but we'll go with Victoria Dudakova. Sometimes you just got to pick the Russian name when they're in that part of the world, and they're usually going to win. Jai Herbert versus Roland Bedoya. Jai Herbert, he was someone I was big on when he first came in, and he had a good regional career, but his UFC career hasn't been as good as I expected. That being said, he did head kick Ilya Tilapia one time, and if you can put the shin on Ilya's face, I think he can put the shin on Roland's face. But one is 36, and the other one's a young guy, so it's one of these veterans versus the young lion kind of thing. But both of them are low level, so I'm going to go with the guy with more experience, and I'm going to pick Jai Herbert in this one. And finally, to the final fight, or the first fight of the card, Cedric Dumas versus Dennis Talulin. Cedric is 3-2 his last 5, and Dennis Talulin is 1-4 his last 5, and he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Cedric is 28, Dennis is 36. I think one's a much better athlete, so we're gonna go Cedric Dumas all day long. We did good last week. We were 10-4, so let's hope we keep the momentum up. Raw dog out.